I think empathy is arguably, of course, I mean, there's going to be someone who doesn't believe this, but I think it's probably the most important emotion that we can have as human beings because it's what fosters connection. And that's what people get wrong about empathy. For some reason, people seem to think that empathy only means I feel what you're feeling. And that is part of it. That idea of I can feel what you're feeling is important. And it is one kind of empathy, but there's 43 different kinds of empathy. Let that sink in because it's important. We as human beings have 43 different ways to connect. And that's the thing with empathy. It's not about feeling, it's about connecting. So when I talk about empathy, especially in leadership context, I talk about emotional or affective empathy, which is the I feel what you're feeling. But I also talk about cognitive empathy, which is a logical empathy. I understand what you're feeling. There's no feelings involved. I talk about self-empathy, which is something that isn't really in the literature. That's something that I'm finding with my research, but I think it's really important because if you can't feel empathy for yourself, how can you be expected to feel it for anybody else? Charity starts at home. So it begins with being able to have that empathy for yourself. And a lot of that has to do with digging through layers of self-judgment, digging through layers of comparison, digging through stuff that may have happened very young in life. So there's a lot more to this empathy idea than maybe we give it credit for. But because of that, it's very powerful, more powerful than we give it credit for. It's a great thing to have empathy. Statistically, over 95% of the population has empathy, but it doesn't do you any good if you don't use empathy. It has to be actionable. My favorite analogy is to compare empathy to a treadmill. I mean, I'm recording this in January. So how many people do we know that have gotten exercise equipment for their New Year's resolution, right? They've got that new treadmill. And that treadmill maybe got used for the first 2 weeks, and now it sits there. Maybe in the corner of the bedroom. Maybe they hang clothes on it. You know, maybe the cat sleeps on it. Maybe if you're feeling super motivated, you dust it once a month. It's great to have that treadmill, but if you don't use it, you're not going to get the benefits of it. And empathy is the same way. It's nice to have, but it's more important to use. This is where the idea of these different kinds of empathy come in, because it's not always appropriate to use the one where I feel what you feel. But we can use empathy. It just may not be that one. I talk to leaders about this a lot.